All right, guys, here we are, Sons of Thunder, James and John, right here, the Sons of Thunder. This is Sons of Thunder podcast, and it's Friday. So if you're watching this the way that we intended, it's Friday and it's Good Friday.
That's right.
Right? It's an interesting phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good Friday never feels that good. It always feels bad. It feels really like Good Friday and Black Friday should have always swapped names, right?
Yeah.
Because this feels more like Black Friday than it does. Because this is the day it gets real for us as Christians, right? As we just think about just physically what Jesus went through, right? It's always so sombering. And, as pastors, for both of us for over 2 decades, every year, this time of year, we're charged to go into this message and to teach it to our congregations and to our flock and to our people. And every year it's still just as difficult as the year before for me when I think about it. Last year, and I'll do it again this year, I'm sure, but last year, as some of you guys know, I teach during the week as well as a high school Bible teacher. And so last year I went through all the details of Jesus' crucifixion, but I have 6 classes. So I had six different times I walked through it, and I'm telling you, 8th period, I was just as emotional as 1st period.
Sure.
And I'm the same way. It's been 30 years that I've been saved, almost to the day, March 26, 1996, is the day that I prayed to receive Jesus. So it's been almost 30 years to the day since I received Jesus, and it's still just as meaningful to me today as it was 30 years ago, which is just amazing. I remember this speaker one time at one of my first youth camps. His name was Turk Holt, and he was huge, big dude. And I was new Christian at that time. As a young kid, thought I was tough. I was, the male kind of stuff. And so I was thinking I was tough. Well, this guy was jacked, and he was up there talking. And I was like, man, I like this guy, right? Dude's jacked. And then one night at youth camp, he just started crying, and he said, I want you to know that if Jesus didn't die on the cross, if Jesus didn't resurrect again, I'd still love him. I just started crying. I still remember that to this day. Like just thinking about that. I had John Piper. I talked about one time when we think about heaven, and we think about what do we think about when we think about heaven? If we get to heaven and there's no more heartache and there's no more cancer, and you have everything you want, and you get to see your friends and you get to interact and you get to do it forever. But Jesus isn't there. Would you still want to go?
Wow.
Right? Because heaven isn't about those things. It's about Jesus.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesus is the key. Jesus is heaven when you think about it that way, right? And so that's why to me, like Good Friday is such a meaningful day, because when I think about what my Jesus went through, right? It's just it's so it always just gets me every single time. It has never not gotten me. You know what I mean? It's always meaningful to me. What happened. So I think about this, and as you and I have studied this our whole lives, when I think about this trial, right? We talked last week, if you watched yesterday's podcast, we talked about how when Judas went to betray Jesus, this would happen right now, right? In this Good Friday day, when he went to go betray Jesus, and then Jesus says, I am, and then all the people fell back, which is a super cool part of the story. More cool, in fact, than when Peter cut the dude's ear off, right? Which we didn't mention before, but that's pretty cool, because then Jesus just popped it right back on like a Mr. Potato Head, which I really think is cool. But even beyond that, then we get to this trial that happens, right? And there's a long list of things that was wrong about this trial, okay? So like even thinking about the American justice system, surely, definitely, there were things that were different back then than now. But there's still some things that you can say need to be pretty standard, right? Some standard things is that when somebody makes a charge, you need to know what the charge is, right? You need to defend yourself, and you need to have apt time to be able to get the things together to defend yourself properly. Well, how could that possibly be, John, if he was arrested on a Friday, Thursday night, Friday morning. He was arrested Thursday night, Friday morning, but we know that he died on Friday. Right? Is that enough time?
Not enough time.
Have you ever heard in your life of a court, somebody going before court and that soon? No, never, right? That's just not the way things work. I would say it doesn't matter 2026 or back then. Like, you have to know, it's just common sense.
You recognize that that's wrong.
That there's something that's wrong within all of that. You just know that there's something that's happening there. All right, so it's wrong, right? Just the arrest in general was wrong, right? You weren't supposed to be arrested at night. Right, first of all, I mean, it just makes sense. I kind of like that, right?
Yep.
There's no electricity, right? There's no lights that's happening back there. There's no SWAT cars, right? There's no none of that happening. So that wasn't supposed to happen, all right? But when he was arrested at first, he went through the Jewish Sanhedrin, right? Which to me, like that's always part that really has bothered me. And so I know maybe some people of the Jewish faith will be watching us right now. So I don't want to be critical of the Jewish faith, but we'd say that within that happening at that moment, right? Even though that even in that moment that we can say now that wasn't right. Right. That wasn't right. And I think that even our Jewish brothers and sisters now can look back at the story as it was written in the Gospels and say that just wasn't right. And in fact, last week I got to meet with some of the people that put on The Chosen. You know, I was telling you about that. They actually showed us a clip of season 6, which season 6 is going to be just a 24-hour period of when he was betrayed until the crucifixion, which next Easter, then the crucifixion is going to be in what would be like 2 episodes. They're going to put it together in one movie and let it out nationwide. Easter season, the crucifixion is awesome, really awesome. And I saw a clip, like even the trailer for that, which they haven't dropped yet. I watched the trailer and I almost cried in the trailer. But they did show us a clip of when he was before the Sanhedrin, is what they showed us of it. And you know, when he was there and they were talking back to him and he really wasn't saying anything, he really wasn't defending himself. Well, in the clip from The Chosen, it basically he just keeps saying, there's record of this, right? Why are you asking me these questions when there's record? You can go and look at everything that I've said. You know what I've said. Like, why are we even doing all this? And then he was just like, all right, so let's just move it up. Let's move it up to the totem pole, and let's go now from the Jewish Sanhedrin to people that could carry out capital punishment, right? So they moved him up to the next chain. That night. Yeah. It's ridiculous, right? But why that person would even be woken up to come and, do you even know that? Like, why would you even wake up for that?
And I think even like as it relates to the trial, like you would imagine witnesses, right? Yeah. And the witnesses that they had weren't even able to actually like come with credible things, so they start lying about Jesus, you know. And then to your point, like when they wake people up to go, like, so clearly this wasn't necessarily a moment where they're like the planning perhaps, but you know, just all of it just wrong,
ridiculous, right? All of it ridiculous. And so they get to this point where, all right, so now they're to the next stage, right? And they still can't find anything wrong. Nope. Right? So he's all like, why don't you just let the Jewish leaders deal with it? Well, we sent them to you now, right? Yeah. So you're kind of in this back and forth kind of deal, all right? So he says, all right, well, let's find a loophole. We have Barabbas over here. Right. Let's let Barabbas go. Yeah. So surely everybody's going to let Barabbas go. And they all said, no. No. Yeah. No, crucify Jesus. Yeah. I don't get it. I never understood that. Why?
I know. And like in that moment, like when Pilate washes his hands and he says, his blood is not on me, it's on you. Like, they cry out, let his blood be on us and on our children, right? Like, that they were willing to take responsibility and accountability and allow their children to kind of experience the punishment for that. You know, that's an Old Testament kind of note, but like I don't want my kids to suffer for my mistakes. Yeah. And they're actually proclaiming it, like, we'll take it and we're fine with our kids actually suffering because of this.
Yeah, it's just wild. The whole thing is really wild. So there's all sorts of different, in fact, I have a list. I'm going to see if I hit all the things on my list, different ways that his trial was wrong. There was no defense. Before sunrise, all of it. Unbelievable. Obviously too fast. False witnesses you mentioned. And then they changed charges, right? Way through. They changed some charges of it. It's unbelievable. So all of it was improper, right? And then at one point it was in the high priest's house. Yeah. Right? How does that even happen? Yeah. He's like, hey, let's just go in the backyard and have a hearing. Mm-hmm. What is happening? I don't understand how all of this gets together at that point. And that nobody said, hey, let's slow this down. Right. Nobody said, let's stop for a second. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing I can say is, well, the only reason that would happen is because it had to happen that way, right? Yeah. This all had to happen in the timing that it had to happen because now we're in God's timing.
That's right.
Right? And so he had to go through what he went through because of all the prophecies we have in the Old Testament. He's the fulfillment
That's right.
of all of the
All of
Old
it.
Testament prophecies. All of these things had to happen the way that they happened in the timing, even though I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like. I still get defensive to this day
Yeah.
when I think about the fact that he didn't get a fair trial.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like call some witnesses,
Yeah.
get some people
Yeah.
up there, get the blind man that was blind and now
That's
he can
right.
see. Bring
Yeah.
him up
Yeah.
there. He'll tell you.
That's right.
But they never did any of that. They just said, nah, just send him on, crucify him, and so from that is where we have Good Friday.
That's right.
And the only reason we have Good Friday, of course, is because we have Easter Sunday.
That's right.
Right? And so that's why we celebrate Easter Sunday morning so
Yeah.
much. That's why it's such a big deal. Right? We always talk about at our church how every Sunday is the Super Bowl, right? Because we want it to be that if somebody comes in, if the only time ever, and it's just a random Sunday in March, right? We want them to come in and know that we have put the effort in to make sure that they can have an encounter with the real and genuine God. They can come to a church where they can know God, grow together, go to the generations. And every Sunday is a Super Bowl. But on Easter, like there's nothing for us that's above the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But if there were, that would be Easter, right?
absolutely.
It's like the Super Bowl
Yeah.
of Super Bowls, right? All of that put together would be all that. So we do that because Easter is such an extremely important thing for us. Because as we said in our very first podcast, if it wasn't for the resurrection,
Yeah.
all of this would be
Yeah.
meaningless. Our
I've
faith
heard
would be
it.
pointless.
I've heard it said that like until the resurrection, Good Friday was the worst Friday.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
like the resurrection is actually,
Yeah.
like you said, what makes Good Friday good. It wasn't good until Jesus rose
Yeah,
again.
that's
you know,
right. That's
in
right.
that
And then I'm just
perspective.
thinking, are you going to talk about the cross in the next episode?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me just steal one
Yeah, go for it.
of your thunder.
I see what you did there.
After all of this, he's hanging on the cross. He's whipped within an inch of his life. People were horrible to him.
Yeah.
He didn't get a good trial, and yet he still says, "Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do." I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that
Yeah.
guy. I that's why there's so like there's whatever word is above respect,
Yeah.
right? Is what I have for Jesus because of all that he went through, and he did all of that, and then still said,
Yeah.
"Forgive them."
Literally while they're hurting,
While it's happening,
right?
yes.
While it's happening.
Yes.
And I mean, that's a whole another conversation we
Sure.
could have about forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just the fact that he can look down with compassion,
Yeah.
you know, and I think genuine love at that moment, right? Because you can't say that without love,
Yeah.
like that. So
Good point. All right, so that's it. Good Friday. Not always that good, but it's only Good Friday because Easter Sunday is
That's right.
coming, right? You want
That's
to
right.
close this out?
yeah, so as we think about the resurrection and all the power that comes with that, first we think about the crucifixion, and we can't have resurrection without crucifixion.
Yeah.
And so when I think about what happened when Jesus died, lots of thunder. So when we go out into the world, we bring the thunder.
I see what you did
right? See what
there.
I did? So that we can be instruments of the light that Jesus brings.
Awesome.
Bring the thunder.